Hello, and welcome to another edition of Auto Corrected. Man, you guys nailed that last trivia question on the firing order for a small and big block Chevy, which I happen to have a similar shirt on today. But hey, I got a new trivia question for you. If you ever upgraded any fuel lines recently, or even transmission lines, then you've heard of an A-N fitting. So let me write that down. A-N fitting. A-N fitting. Now, you don't have to don't use the Google box to find out. Try to think of what it means on your own. I'm gonna put a chart on the end of this video with what it means, what it stands for, and the different and the size chart, because it's different than a regular metric or a standard size chart. So this third part of my Chevelle build is the second year, and that's what I'm concentrating on. The rear end, I had to replace and rebuild the rear end, and also have to also redid the front end with tubular control arms, all new steering components, and brake components. So definitely, I hope you enjoy this one. Please like and subscribe for more content. And don't forget, here at Auto Corrected, we don't make mistakes, we make custom modifications. Auto Corrected, we don't make mistakes, we make custom modifications. Okay, let's get into part 3 of the Chevelle build. This is year 2. And these current pictures of the 10 bolt that was originally in the car, I took it out because I was going to rebuild it. Just realized when I took it out that the pinion nut wasn't all the way sealed, so wasn't all the way tight. So I took it out. I had intentions to rebuild it, but then I realized it needed more work than I wanted to put into a 10 bolt. So I started searching around to find a 12 bolt to put in it. That's still the 10 bolt there. Also, I had switched out the control arms, and I did not realize how bad they were in. They were rusted in. That is the code on the rear end that I took out that says it's for a 72 Chevelle 10 bolt. And all rear ends usually have those codes. If they don't, they've been filed off because someone probably welded something on it, and so they filed it off. That's still the 10 bolt. This is actually the 12 bolt, taking it apart. I bought all the new components for the rear, for the inside. That actually came with 373 gears and a spool. I cleaned it, took it all apart, cleaned it up, and as I said, I rebuilt it, all brand new components, positive tracked with a 331 gear. And the reason why I went with that gear is because 72 Chevelles, all 70 Chevelles, 71, and 72 Chevelles that I could find all came with 331 gears from factory with a 400 transmission. Random picture of the new valve covers I put on the engine around the same time. And here we are getting ready to rebuild this 12 bolt rear end. As you can see, everything's laid out, keeping all the shims separate for whatever side they came off of. There we are doing the backlash and checking it out. Anyone's ever done it before, it's a lot of taking it in, putting it in, taking it out, checking it. That was checking the mesh of the gears. That was the metal saw blades I had to use to get the old control arms out. I ran the numbers on this rear end. It actually came out of a 69 Chevelle big block. And I put positive tracked and a 331 gears in it. There it is rebuilt before I painted it. And as you can see, that's post paint. And painted the springs, cleaned them up, painted them up, and just started putting everything back together. I took the backing plates off with the brakes. I took these pictures so I would, in case I had any questions putting it back together, I'd know where everything went. I also had to get oversized length lug nuts or lug studs because the stock ones are too short for the wheels that I have. There's the new control arms in there. There's the new rear end about ready to go in, all nice and pretty and painted. There it is put in. I still had to tighten up some bolts at this time. But there they are with the new control arms. Shocks haven't been put on at this point. Yep, there's the shocks on. So there's my new brakes, all brand new components. You can see all the springs are brand new, the adjusters and everything are brand new. And there is the new axles with the those actually all, and there's the brakes installed. The axles actually have the C-clip eliminators, and I would not have went back with C-clip eliminators except for the fact that once you eliminate the C-clips, you can't go back because you have to cut part of the axle tube on the end. And here is a video of it running during the break-in period after I rebuilt the rear end. So I hope you enjoy this first part of the video. This next part of the video, I am refurbishing the dash. This dash I actually got out of a 70 Chevelle. I actually got one out of a 72, which they're a little bit different, but the 72 was so broken up I decided to use the one out of the 70. There it is, all nice and shiny. Used the silver paint around the bezels, and the gauges I actually got from a 72 454 car with all the gauges, no dummy lights. And there it is sitting in the car. I had to make this bracket to hold the base of the dash to hold the temperature control for the heater control from bouncing around, so I had to make that bracket. And there's a new steering wheel that I put on around the same time, and that dash was actually an older dash that I had. It was cracked. You can't hardly see it from here, but it's cracked on top. I since replaced it on my last year, but I didn't think that dash turned out too bad. It turned out pretty good for what it was. And there it is. Of course, I have all new switches and knobs for the dash, and that's how it turned out. Okay, this next part of the video has to do with the break-in period on the rear end. After I got the rear end rebuilt, put it in, and did the initial break-in on jack stands, then I took it out and I had to put 500 miles on it at different varying conditions. Start out, 20-30 minute drives along country roads at 30-35 miles an hour, and then a couple of drives at 20-30 minute drives doing 55, say, on a 2-lane highway. So did that a little bit, and then I realized I need some front end work done. The steering was loose. I also had some rattling in the front end, and I ended up figuring out what that was in the long run. But here's some pictures when I had it out. As you can see, I didn't even have the hood on it, but I wanted to drive it around and have some fun with it. That's kind of part of the deal. You do a little bit of work, you drive it some more, drive it a little bit, and then do some more work to it. So here I am. I drove it out to my son Brandon, where he worked, took a couple pictures. There I am, proud as a peacock of my old rag. But there she is, out on the road again. And so then I started looking at, what am I going to do on the front end? What's bad? So then I had to start looking at that, tearing it apart, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But just some more videos of it out for the first time in a long time. This was the first time I had it out in that spring, actually. Okay, so I started rebuilding the front end. So I ordered all the parts. There's brand new discs. There's my front and rear sway bars. That's how it's set. When I took it had the helpers in the springs, so I bought new springs because those were small block springs and it wouldn't hold up to the big block. Started taking it apart. You can tell the stuff was pretty old. Of course, it was factory. All the bushings were bad. And I bought the new tubular control arms for what I could have paid for just the bushings alone to replace the stock bushings. So there it is, nothing on the front end, and it was all greasy and grimy, and cleaned it all up. Painted it up, and you'll see that picture here in a second. Took a lot of time to just get that part done, getting it cleaned up, and then started the process of putting it all back together. New tubular control arms, there they are, and I also got new spindles and all new steering components, everything from the drag link to the inner and outer tie rod ends to the adjuster sleeve. There's a new back plate, which I had to modify because it would fit a little different against those tubular control arms. There's the new discs installed and the new calipers installed for the new brake system. There it is back on the ground. You can see it kind of set high. Also, I got new tires while I was at it for front and back. You can see how it kind of set kind of high at first and people kept telling me, oh, it'll settle, it'll settle. It took a little while, but it finally did settle down a little bit after I drove it for a minute. And then this was kind of like the last thing I had to do to it this spring to get it back on the road. So I actually finished the front end the night before the car show that I wanted to take it to in April of that year for the JROTC on Southside at the school. And then I took it out and cleaned it up that morning, shined it up. It was looking pretty good, even though it wasn't painted yet. I still had the 71 front end on it. As those that are familiar with Chevelles can tell that that's a 71 front end. We'll get to that in the next video, the difference between the 71 and 72. But there it is, all shined up. I was pretty proud of it. It was looking pretty good. And so as you can see, I had also replaced the trunk lid. That was different from the previous video. I'd gotten those pieces when I had got the trunk lid when I went up and bought the rear end pieces, because it was at the same place, and I saved myself a ton of shipping. And there's Puppy Dog living up the sunshine on this early brisk April morning. And another picture of around the car, and there it is at the car show. Got a lot of people commenting on, and I kept telling people, from the outside it didn't look like much. All the work was underneath, If you wanted to look underneath it, you could eat off of it, but, it still needed some work, as you can tell from the outside. But I was having fun with it. I love driving it, taking it out. Still had people commenting at red lights, hey, man, nice car. And that's a good feeling, especially when you did the work, pretty much all by yourself, with a little bit of help from friends and family and kids. Of course, can't help the kids. You can't forget the kids. Okay, now to the trivia question that I posed at the beginning. What are AN fittings? They stand for Army Navy fittings, and they're a type of fitting used to connect flexible and or non-flexible hoses together in a variety of applications, including automotive use. The name AN fittings came about during World War II when the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy agreed upon a joint standard size specification for fittings to ease mechanical and engineering work across the two branches and streamline production of spare parts for the war effort. Today, AN fittings are used across a wide variety of segments, including automotive, aerospace, aeronautic, marine, industrial, and of course military. They're designed to perform under high-stress environments and to extremely tight tolerances. AN fittings are designed for a variety of thread sizes, typically ranging from -4 to -24 in irregular shape, in irregular steps. We must remember that AN fittings use a standard 37-degree flare for their seating surface. Hence, you cannot couple an AN fitting to a different flare type fitting, as it will result in leaks. Instead, you've got to choose an appropriate adapter. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and always remember, at AutoCorrected, we don't make mistakes, we make custom modifications.